everyone. Hope you're all doing well. My name is D'Angelo from The Geek Life, and we're here at Anime Expo 2022 with an amazing content creator by the name of Michelle Nguyen Bradley. And how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. I'm tired. How are you?
Tired as well.
Day one. Good
For
content.
real. Yeah, right? Exactly. Perfect. So, although I love and adore everything that you do in like all spheres of your creativity and everything, there may be some people who might not be familiar with you. Would you be able to take a moment to introduce yourself and like all the things that you do?
Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful, but so my name is Michelle Nguyen Bradley. I am a professional tabletop RPG creator, an actor, writer. I also do event production. I do show and broadcast production for some esports, some broadcasts like talk shows. I do a lot of things, I guess, in that sphere. I'm also a voice actor. I keep forgetting, like, what do I do? I kind of come from a background of starting in the geek world from the anime side, I would say, and like sort of like the general like video game like industry. And maybe about 5-6 years, no, it's closer to 6-7 years now, I started doing tabletop RPG shows with Rat Queens, which was on Hyper RPG. We had a year-long season. It was amazing. And from there, I've just been doing a lot more acting and on-camera stuff, and it's been really fun.
Right on. That's awesome. So, at this current moment in like 2022, you do a whole lot of things, and you do them amazing and super, super well. But what is your origin story? Like, how did you get into like the content creation sphere and decide to be a creative? Did you know like from high school essentially that you wanted to do this, or was it something that you like found yourself stumbling into?
Honestly, no. Like, when people ask me this question, it's kind of hard to answer because I come from a background of like, you go to school to go work a job, and that's your one job. Because I'm a little older than the rest of a lot of people who are watching this, and I think that was sort of the way work, and I think a lot of people still that's how work is. You study for a thing, you do the thing, and that's your life. What ended up happening is that I had a lot of interest, so I studied back in college. I studied advertising, English literature, and Japanese language. I did a triple major because I couldn't make up my mind, and I really liked school. So when I started doing that and just chasing like my ambition for what I liked at the time, I was kind of like, whatever, I'm young, I can just try doing this and try doing that. I moved to Japan for a few years and lived there, and then I ended up writing for a fashion magazine out in LA, and I came out and worked for that in 2008. So I moved to LA during that time. But what happened was I had thought, okay, this is my job. I've made it. This is my dream job. I'm an editor at a fashion magazine, and it was about Japanese fashion.
This is it for sure.
This is 2008, which if you remember, you're around then. That was also the crash of the publishing industry. So the company basically folded in third, I would say. Everyone got laid off, and I was kind of left free floating. Like, okay, now I can decide what I want to do. Do I still want to do writing? Do I want to do? What am I going to do? And I started doing a lot of just random stuff. I worked for PR companies for a while. I worked in like celebrity gifting suites for a little while there. I worked in tech PR. And I worked at Konami for a little while, and didn't really like any of it. And at some point, I just started designing like accessories. So I kind of come from that kawaii culture kind of thing, and I ended up securing a license with Hello Kitty. This is the 2008-ish, 2009. The end of 2009. So I moved here in 2008. All these things happened. At the end of 2009, I picked up a license with Hello Kitty. I'm able to quit my full-time job because they made a really crazy order. If you guys Google Hello Kitty Sephora from that year, you can see why. I had to make bows for every Sephora employee, like,
oh my god,
across the state. And I was making them by hands with like I hired like 3 of my friends to come by my house once in a while and help me, and that's how we did it. And then I continued having the license, and I basically made a whole fashion brand company from that. So my origins actually come from sort of the fashion side. When you're talking about what we now know as content creation, that didn't exist back then. Like there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram. It was just you putting on Facebook and talking to your actual immediate friends. And I'd always done that. Like I did live journal and sort of like the old ways of blogging, and sort of naturally became, okay, now there's Instagram and people like photos. Okay, I'm gonna do nice photos, and that's gonna help me with my brands. And so that's why I did it. I don't do that anymore, but I still use it, and I use all media as terms for promoting stuff for companies, for talking about my own projects, for just showing something funny, making something good in the world. But yeah, I think it's a little silly when people say like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm an influencer. And I'm like, man, you know when you're an influencer, it's not an easy job. You are a producer, you are an artist, you are shooting your own video, editing it, like you are a writer, you're also your own marketing person, you're your own manager, you're doing your own accounting. So I learned all that stuff by having my own business first.
Yeah.
So when I moved into doing content creation, it sort of naturally came that way. And I've only really started monetizing content creation like really recently, honestly. Yeah. I just did it for fun, whatever that means. But I really recently was I starting to get paid for, sponsored posts and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's incredible. Oh my gosh. So, like, I follow your career. Like, I'm a huge fan of you and everything. And I know that you have a lot of victories, a lot of W's in your life and everything like that. But one of the things I want to focus on are the L's, or the losses that you've occurred. Now, a good friend of mine says that L's stand for lessons, not losses, and all that kind of stuff. So I want to ask, over your career, what do you feel like is one of the standout, like, L's that you've had that you really learned a lot from? Whether it's a situation where it's like, I did everything in my power to make this work and it still fell through, or if it was a situation where it's like, you know what, I got overconfident and I learned a lesson that I need to, like, bring my A game for, like, X, Y, and Z. Like, does a moment stand out for you that you feel like you grew a lot from?
I guess there's kind of two main ones. One has a happier ending than the other. When I mentioned that I worked in PR and I worked in I worked at Konami as like a customer service agent.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone and people yelled at me about Metal Gear Online every day for almost a whole year.
Dang.
And I would sit in the parking lot and cry before I went to work and just be like, I can't believe this is my life. Like, what did I do wrong? And I was so sad that it really pushed me to be like, I just gotta start doing my own thing. Like, why am I waiting for permission to be a creative, like to make stuff, So I just started making it, and that led to, as I mentioned, like my career. And there's a funny story there where I was just making it kind of because my friend said, you like making stuff, why don't you make an Etsy store? Yeah. My friend's name is Jamie. She runs a store called Japan LA. It's very big, look it up. She was sort of my mentor back then. Yeah. And she's like, just make stuff, you don't have to, just see how it goes. You can sell one thing or sell nothing, but at least you'll be doing something outside of a job that makes you feel like you have control over one part of your life. And I was like, okay, but no one's gonna like it, and it's gonna suck, and I don't want to. Like, I was just very, it's very depressed, and I didn't know. But but no one talked about depression back then.
Yeah, mental health is.
I had zero of that, zero self-care. So I started doing that, and I was, she was supporting me by just being like, good job, buddy. And I still like made 4 things like my whole time I did that. Yeah. But because I was making those things, and I found out about this opportunity with Hello Kitty, they were gonna make their first their first event party in a cafe, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cute if they wore little head bows that looked like Hello Kitty's bow? Why hasn't everyone thought of this? And my accessories were bows, so I was like, okay, Jamie, she was helping organize it, so this was my mentor. So I was like, okay, if I make a bow, can you bring it to like one of your meetings and see if they'll want to buy like maybe like 10 of them? Yeah. She's like, okay. The crazy story about that is that she brought it into a meeting. They were like, we'll talk about it later. She left it in the boardroom, and like, I guess like the president came in like a couple hours later and was like, oh my god, what is this? We need like 1,000 of these. So I guess sort of like that story is like that my L was that I had convinced myself I had to follow like a corporate career, like a normal trajectory of like start at the bottom, work your way up, and then like, but that will make you happy. But then I didn't think about why would that make me happy if I don't like the thing I'm doing. And then but it took me a long time to get there, and I think the sort of like secondary shorter story is that sure, I'm doing creative stuff. It seemed on social media like, oh, Michelle's always doing exciting, fun things. One of the problems with social media is that everything looks fun and like sparkly, but even curated. And they're like, oh, you're so lucky to get these jobs, and it's like it's still work, and you still have to show up and do well and be on time, and you're making your own schedule. So like if you have to let your personal happiness, you have to figure out where that is now, because you've turned all your hobbies into jobs. Oops. Yep. Oops. Where's the fun? I don't know. What's fun? I don't know what that means. But like, seriously though, you really have to figure out why you're doing this, how you can, separate your, mental health from your work and your things you do for fun, if you can, and to give yourself that gift of like, I'm working hard to have a good life. I'm not doing, I'm not working just to live. Yeah. And this kind of leads into the second question, or the next question actually, but we'll do it right now. Is the topic of self-care. So for a lot of content creators, whether it be indie or big time, burnout is a real thing that can affect, mental health, physical health, everything. So what are some ways, how do you manage your own self-care, while working on all these sort of projects and everything? I've been freelancing for over 12 years now, and what that means is that when it rains, it pours, and when there's a drought, it's a little scary. And I used to get more scared about those droughts. I used to be like, oh my God, is this it? Am I never going to get work again? And you have to really train yourself to be like, nope, this is your vacation. You're going to have an unplanned vacation every couple of months. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short, but you have to just tell yourself it's going to be okay. And it's really hard to say that and just trust the nature balance.
Trust the universe, everything will work out.
I mean, I think a lot of that is BS, honestly. I'm not like a woo-woo person at all. I don't believe in like horoscope signs. I'm one of those people that's like, can we not talk about this because I hate it? But like, it's fake, all this is made up. And anyway. But I do believe that when you've been working a long time in your field, you need to trust yourself, not the universe. You need to trust that your work will stand for itself, and that when people need your skills, they will reach out to you. Or when you talk about you shout on Twitter, someone's like, oh wait, I do need that. Let me dig into this person's profile and see what I need. But anyway, but in terms of like self-care, it's like trusting yourself that the work will come, but you have to be very conscious about how you put yourself back out there. When you're taking a break, great, but make sure you're constantly hitting up people and be like, oh, it's been kind of a while since I talked to this person. Let me follow up. So there's that. The other thing is like when you make your hobby into your job. So I love playing tabletop RPGs. I absolutely love them. But there was a point, I think I can talk about this, in March where I filmed 18 episodes of RPGs, different shows in 1 week.
And that's 3 hours a pop, right?
Like some of them were longer, some of them were shorter. There was all around, it's all across the board. And some of that stuff hasn't come out yet. But during that time, like I was so tired, but every time I sat down, I was like, yes, because I was so excited to do the thing. But getting to the thing is so hard. You got to drive to the place. You got to get your hair and makeup. You got to do all the stuff. You got to make sure like all your emails are answered, and then you can go like have fun. So I treat my time at the table as like that's fun. I'm working, but like I'm having a good time.
Oh, it's good, like being present, essentially.
I think being present is very important. And then also like if I love tabletop. I play with my friends also. I don't just like only for work do it. And it's hard to find the time, but like it's really important to remember why you started doing it. But it's important to have like your work brain, like this is what we need to do to make the money to get the thing done on time, and then your happiness brain, which is like I'm doing this because I like it, and I have to remember actively tell yourself.
That's amazing. So
I don't know if that's really an answer.
No, that was great. That was wonderful. So pivoting over to the other end of the spectrum, let's talk about your W's. What is one of the things in your career? Now you've had a lot of success that stands out to you. Whether it was something huge, a massive accomplishment where you won something huge, or something small in the beginning that you were like, no one cares about this victory, but this changed the trajectory of my career. What is it that stands out to you the most?
Oh my God, I have no idea. I can. My brain is very like, well, this thing happened last week. Like I always want to talk about things that happened.
Whatever.
God, I don't know. Sorry, this is a really hard question to answer.
You're good.
I think, I don't know if it's really like a one thing that happened answer, but when I was a sophomore in college, I started to get the inkling that like, hey, I like anime and manga and I'm like a big weeb. There's jobs that put that content out, and maybe I can do my job in advertising, my traditional job in advertising, but do it for like a fun company. And I think once my brain sort of tweaked to be like, oh wait, I could just Google. Well, there wasn't Google back then. Oh my God, what was there? I can't remember.
Yahoo?
AOL.com?
Jeez,
I don't even know.
Whatever.
Mozilla. Firefox. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna look up who publishes what I love. I love Sailor Moon. Okay, who publishes them? Tokyo Pop. I just dug around their webpage until I found like a thing for like job listings, and I just found the email, and I was like, hey, do you guys take interns? I just emailed this person, and they're like, yes, we're interviewing now. But we're in LA. Would you? And I was at that time living at Penn State. In Pennsylvania. And I was like, I'll figure it out. And I think then I got the job, and I moved to LA for the summer, and I did an internship. Which is a different kind of story. But and then when I came back, I sort of was like, oh, the world is a lot bigger than I thought it was. Like I let myself sort of take the thing I find joy in and try to connect that with my work, which, as we mentioned, can be dangerous. But like it made the work so much more meaningful. And then it's weird that I learned that lesson, and then I did forget it for a couple of years. Because so I moved to LA to do that internship. And then I graduated from college, and I moved to Japan for a few years. And And then I came back for that other editing job in LA.
Yeah.
So when I came back that second time, I kind of forgot like that there is joy in work. You know, like there could be joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure that was an answer. But again,
no, that was good. That was
I
awesome.
talked for 5 minutes, so something must have happened.
No, that was beautiful. That was wonderful. And then, what would you say is one of your personal geeky passions? You talked a lot about like, you know, anime, manga, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But what is something that really stands out to you that like inspired you to be a creative and things you like love to do?
I don't know, man. Like,
Obviously, we're at Anime Expo, so probably, yeah.
Well, like when you consume certain kind of content and you're like, man, this is so cool. This is my personality now. Like for me, that was anime. Like when I saw it when I was 14, and Sailor Moon was 14 when that came out, and you know when it was aired at 6:30 a.m. in the year 1994. Like, don't do the math. But like that, like following that fandom, like really, absolutely changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
It's got me interested in anime. It got me interested in Japan. So I was like, wait, they're not in America. Where the hell are they? And I started to figure out, like, oh, this is Japanese animation. I took it up as a minor in college, and I liked it so much I turned it into a major. I studied abroad for a semester in Japan.
Yeah.
I moved to Japan after I graduated, and then I met my husband there, who was weirdly from Pennsylvania also. He's like a white guy from Pennsylvania, but we were working in the same job.
Small world, dang.
And so like that, because I chased that sort of passion, it made me move across the world and come to LA. I wouldn't be in LA if it wasn't for, you know, manga and anime, honestly. And then of course my work is, I will be honest, like my work now is less anime centric than it used to be. I'm definitely doing way more tabletop stuff and a lot more sort of geek company producing. But I mean, it kind of stems from the same place. It's about like the stories that you listen to or you hear that make you feel like this is me. I like this thing, you know. And then you just kind of chase it, and it does transform your life. I did just talk about anime for another 5 minutes, but should I talk about something different?
No, you're good. You're totally fine. So you've done a lot in your life. You've gone through a lot of conflicts, a lot of struggles, and all that kind of stuff. If you could go back in time and sit down at a table with your younger self, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself to like make their journey a little bit easier?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I basically stayed ashamed of liking anime until I got to college.
Yeah.
But I think that was the right move because my high school was real weird.
Yeah.
I think. I honestly, I think if I could go back to Michelle of like 2010, 2012, when I was sort of like, I sort of had this attitude of if someone offers you a job, you have to take it. Like it is a feast or famine, and life is always going to be this way. And you will never, and that's your life. You've chosen it. You've chosen the freelance life. Yeah. And honestly, till really recently, I really did believe that. Like you kind of. You choose the lifestyle you're gonna have based on your job. Yeah. But like recently, now that I'm, you know, be real with you, I just turned 40 this year, and it's a big one. And I've been doing this for such a long time that it's become like this year, I'm just like turning down work left and right. I'm deciding when I work because if I don't carefully keep that balance of like I'm working for money so that I can have a nice life, you know. So I'm not working so that I can only work and never see like my husband and my dog and my friends. So it's like. Sorry, I just saw like a crime over there.
Oh, you're good.
There's a kid sitting on the escalator. Jesus Christ. What was I saying? Okay, so I guess if I could tell my younger self to just hang in there and like you're gonna become successful if you just stick with the work. Like your time will come, and you really gotta stop looking at everybody else's timeline. That's the worst
Trust
thing.
the process.
It's so hard. Like I mean, I do it all the time. We all do. But I constantly look at other people in the space. Especially the tabletop space because it's so insular. Yeah. Like when people get jobs and I wasn't like I didn't know about it or I wasn't asked. I'm like, man, why do I suck? But that's not true. Like it's just it really is about like who you know and like what timing and who's talking to who, and it's all these things you can't control, and you really have to like let that go and trust that if you want something bad enough, you will get there, but it's going to be different than than other people, you know? Yeah.
That's amazing. So okay. So we're gonna do a few silly questions to add some, you know, levity and all that kind of stuff, and then
someone's falling murder. The girl was sitting on the escalator, and her dad was like watching her as it came to the top, and I was like, "This is how they go."
Yeah, right. Oh my God. So first and foremost, when it comes to the topic of anime, we're gonna ask the biggest question: subbed or dubbed?
Well, sub because I used to always listen to it, and that's what got me into like learning Japanese. And guess who was almost fluent in Japanese now? This idiot. Because I mean, I did study and take a ton of classes and spent like a decade learning. And it's interesting to hear the nuance. And because it's like, honestly though, I think people tend to pick dubs because it's one level of removal from the English, your native language. So seeing something fantastical and weird and extraordinary happen in a different language is a lot easier to accept than hearing it in English. Because you're like, well, that's dumb. Who would say that? And it's like, yo, it's the same in Japanese. It just sounds like cool because you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say that for the dub community, as an aspiring voice actor myself, that having dubs is really important for people who, for children to get into anime, for people who don't like to read subtitles, for the acting community, and it's art. It's a different thing, So. I'm personally like subs because like I understand Japanese and I don't have to like look at the screen. But I hear like the dub argument and I'm for it.
That's what I kind of feel as well.
I made that fun question into not a fun question. What's wrong with me?
No, you're good. You're totally fine. No, you're good. And then all right. So who would you say is your top tier out of all the anime you watch? Top tier waifu or husbando? Like,
what? I can't do it.
Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Sailor Uranus.
There you go. That's it.
She's both my wife and my husband.
Perfect. It was good. And then, all right. So, what anime do you feel is overrated, overblown, too much?
Oh no, I'll get killed.
Is it the statue that's hanging out in the main?
Nah, well.
I love One Piece, so like.
Let's see. What do people love that I don't understand? The Osomatsu guys?
Yeah.
What's it called? Osomatsu-san? There's 6 of them. They're all the same. I don't get it, guys. They're all the same character doing the same things. They're wearing different color shirts. They're not cute. They're not handsome. They're not any of the things that would make me like them. Their storylines aren't congruent with one episode to the next. And like, there's just nothing. I don't get it.
Oh my God.
I don't understand it. I don't care. I don't care that they're wearing different color shirts. Their personalities are not different.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. All right, good. And then where can we find you online?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at I am Chubby Bunny. That's my Twitter and my TikTok and my Instagram. You can also find me at my website, MichelleNguyenBradley.com. That's where I sort of put my news announcements and my portfolio, and also how you can contact me. My email is everywhere if you want to book me for work, so don't ever say you can't get in contact with me. But if I don't like your email, I won't respond.
Perfect. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer a few of our questions, and we'll be back with more content soon. So we'll see you guys later. Good.